Okay, are you ready to dive into some beginning breathwork exercises? I hope so. We've got a lot to cover today and 7 exercises for you. They can be found in the Google folder. Just look under the folder that says breathing, and then you will see one that says beginning breathwork exercises. And I'm going to walk you through those with a few things up front, so just so we can go through some basics and you have a proper foundation for doing these exercises when we get through to them. The first thing I want to talk about is safety. And I know you're thinking, we breathe all the time. Why do you need to talk about safety? Well, passing out is rare, but I have actually seen people pass out from doing breathing exercises. So please avoid doing breathing exercises when you're in environments where if you lost consciousness, it could result in serious harm to you or someone else, such as a car or a swimming pool or a bathtub or a hot tub or any other place that you might have. If you fell, it might be a big deal. So just be careful of that. Listen to your body. Again, it's rare, but it does happen. Recognize your limits. I always like to say, go up to the limits. Maybe you want to push a little bit, but you have to know your body. You don't want to push yourself too far, and you don't want to pass out. So please don't do that. Also, some people like to practice breathing exercises while they're cycling or running at the gym. If you are under the supervision of a qualified professional, go ahead and do that. That's a good place to do them. But if you're just going to launch into this again, be careful, because a treadmill is, again, not a nice place to pass out from. You would get hurt. You might hurt somebody else. Same thing with a stationary bike. You want to be under the supervision of somebody watching you and actually helping you do these breathing exercises if you're going to do them that way. Let me talk to you a little bit about my experience. Let me first say, with all of this, I am not a doctor, but my expertise in breathwork stems from a lifetime of learning, practicing, and applying my own protocol, my own exercises, really for the past 40 plus years. I mean, I began learning breath work when I was a really young child from my mother, who was both a vocalist and also my very first vocal teacher. So over the years, though, I have studied with some very renowned teachers and studied some very renowned techniques, such as Wim Hof, the Carl Stow, which is incorporated into a lot of the Alexander technique work that I do. So it's really rounded out my journey, and I take a little bit from here and there. And again, what you want to do is really take what works for you. I'm going to offer from my experience what I have seen as not only helpful in myself, but I've been teaching since 1991. So what I have seen that really works for most singers globally. Right? And again, personalize all of this stuff to what you like, because the best exercise, let's face it, is the one that you will do consistently. So take from these exercises what helps you, what you think you will practice, what's easiest to fit in your day, and go from there. So the other thing in my experience is that my dad had COPD. So he had about a 20-year journey with that I was involved in his care and his treatment. And so I have an understanding of what happens to the lungs and the respiratory system. It gave me kind of a deeper understanding and a deeper look and breathing strategies and their impact really on your respiratory health. And although I really want you to be great singers, I really want you to be healthy people. I really want you to be able to breathe and have healthy lives and a good quality of life and health span as you age. Because as I'm aging, not only as a person, but as a singer, breathing is so necessary for everything that we do, everything that we want to do. So having a good breathing routine becomes really important, especially as we age. So my breathing techniques and protocols, I think, are rooted in scientific research, and they are data-backed techniques. I have talked to many, many doctors, and I just want to give that information to you. So here are some of my exercises. Let me go through one more respiratory just health piece with you. If you're experiencing symptoms such as shortness of breath, excessive coughing, or excessive mucus production that you just can't get rid of. You know how if you're sick, it comes and goes, but if this is lasting and lasting and lasting, it might be time to see a pulmonologist. You may need a referral from your GP, but it might be time to actually see a medical professional. Breath work can help improve symptoms, I think, dramatically. Of course, it's going to enhance your singing and it's going to support your respiratory function. But if you have an underlying real medical condition, it may need to be complemented by a medical treatment plan. So please see a doctor if any of that is going on. I like to always say, please approach your breath work with mindfulness and care. If you are not mindful of your habits and you are just practicing bad habits, bad breath work habits, then those are the things that you cement in and those are the things that you take then to the stage. Consistency is key. Find some exercises, find a time of day, find places during the day maybe that you think that you can do these consistently, because daily practice is what is going to make this better. I personally like to do these in the morning. I do these exercises, or some of them, or a variety of them, in the morning on an empty stomach before I have anything to eat. I have coffee, but not food before the breath work that I do. I always tell my students, get up and breathe. Hydration, drink water before and after your exercise. Drink a lot of water. Especially if you're having excess mucus production, it's going to help thin that mucus, right? Perform your exercises in a well-ventilated and comfortable area, someplace that feels safe for you. And combining these exercises with something like steam, like a humidifier, or a steam inhalation, or just a hot shower, sometimes really helps the lungs. And then I'm going to say one more word about mobility, because it's essential for any breathing routine. Okay? If your muscles and joints like rib cage and diaphragm aren't working properly, if they don't have their full range of motion, also your head, neck, jaw, spine, if all of that is moving freely, your breath will be free, your singing will be free. However, if you have restricted mobility, it can limit your lung capacity and it probably will hinder your airflow, right? This reduces the effectiveness not only of your breath work, but of your singing. So incorporating some mobility exercises, which we kind of talked about in the last breathing video, and we will go over more, and there's more just physical exercises in the breathwork audio that I have provided in this folder as well. So incorporate some mobility exercises. It enhances your posture, it expands your breathing, and it just supports your overall respiratory health. So, okay. Along with that, let's start with the first one, which is thoracic expansion. That's hard to say. Say that 10 times. Stretches. It's basically you want the rib cage to be able to expand, and then it releases and it comes back down into its resting position. So remembering that the ribs are attached at the back of the spine, and so when they open, they sort of do that. Right? So your ribs will go sideways and out. Okay? So you want your rib cage to fully expand. It gets bigger, and as you exhale, it gets smaller, right? I think a lot of people sometimes have trouble with this, finding this in the first place. So if you put your arms all the way over your head, your rib cage just expands anyway. So as you're inhaling, raise, and then as you lower your arms, you can start to become aware of the expansion and the range that the rib cage has. And again, if you do the other guided active rest and you start doing these things daily, you're going to start to find more expansion in your rib cage than maybe you previously had. I always like to inhale through the nose, and when I'm doing breathing exercises, through pursed lips. Right? So you can do any number of counting. Start with maybe 4 and 4. So you inhale. Right? Maybe go to 4 and then exhale for 6. I'm a big proponent of the longer exhale. If you can inhale for 4, exhale for 8. And again, watch that on the next inhale, you're not going, right? Because we're not trying to raise the shoulders and take the breath that way. That's engaging a whole bunch of extra auxiliary muscles that we don't really need for breathing. It gets the neck involved, and we certainly don't want excessive neck tension when we're breathing or when we're singing. Okay. Diaphragmatic breathing. I like to place my thumb in my belly button and then just let my hand rest. So that sort of low abdomen. And again, as you're doing the guided rest and you're lying in that prone position, with your head supported by the book and your knees 45-degree angle facing the ceiling, feet flat on the floor. You could also put your feet like on a chair or on something so your feet are elevated if that is more comfortable. But anyway, put your hand through your belly, thumb on your belly button, fingers just relaxed on your belly. And as you inhale, your belly should rise. And as you exhale, the belly button should go back towards the spine. As you inhale, belly comes out. As you exhale, belly goes back towards the spine. And again, just getting used to that motion, getting used to the body, getting used to the when you breathe, you're making room for that diaphragm to drop. That's why we have to get that abdomen out of the way. Okay, so if you want to practice this one lying on the floor, that is certainly the way to do it. I always like to say, though, at some point you do have to stand up or make the next round of your gravity practice sitting, right? So you're not completely using all the gravity, but you're upright, because we generally don't sing lying on the floor, right? Sort of a huff coughing exercise is to just take the deep breath in through the nose and then ha, 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 right? Just get that air, get that mucus out. And again, you want to focus on the exhale. So that might even be, if that feels like it's a little too much, just go to but focusing on that exhale, that getting that air out, you're going to try and clear that mucus away. Another good thing is I like to tap. If I have mucus, I'll just tap easy, gently on the chest. Okay. Stack breathing. Now this one I like because it stretches the intercostal muscles, but again, be careful that you're not creating excessive tension when you're doing this one. So we want to take in a small breath, and then hold it for however long you want. You might want to do it for 30 seconds, might want to do it for 10 seconds while you're still holding. Add in a little bit more air, and then again, and then maybe one more time till the lungs are really full, and then collapse the lungs fully, right? So again, we're feeling that mobility, right? And you're helping not only to stretch the rib cage, but you're increasing your lung capacity at the same time. I do this one a lot when I'm walking. Again, please be careful if you're doing any of these things. If you notice that you get dizzy, stop, shake your arms out, do anything to use up the extra oxygen that your body is now getting that you're not used to getting. Okay. there's a lot of different ways that you can do that one. Again, just be careful that you're not winding up like this, that you're not winding up with your shoulders at your ears. You know, you're taking your breath up, 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 up. We want to take the breath out, 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 out. Okay? And then there is box breathing, right? You may have heard this one as tactical breathing, right? Inhale through your nose for a count of 4, hold the breath for a count of 4, exhale slowly through the mouth for a count of 4, and then hold your breath with no air, right? So don't breathe back in, right? So we inhale, we hold, we exhale, we hold, we inhale, we hold, we exhale, we hold. This will really help you relax, right? And you can do it slower. You don't have to. I'm just doing it quick counts for the, for the sake of the video to get through the video. But this really can help with relaxation and anxiety. So this one sometimes is really good at night. Okay, there you go. There's a walkthrough of the beginning breathwork protocol. Again, we're looking for mobility in the rib cage so that the diaphragm can actually glide down and back up in its full extended range of motion. And we'll talk more and more about this as we go on in these exercises, but I hope this is helpful. And if you have questions, please always ask me. Come to the Sunday workshops from 6 to 7:30 CST and ask me questions if something doesn't make sense or if you're not sure or you want to show me. That's the time to get one-on-one feedback. So good luck. Have fun breathing. Get up and breathe, and I will see you soon.